Greetings, I am the Soviet Warlord, and today I am bringing you another episode of Stakhanov's Builds. In this episode, I'll be covering the Excalibur Warframe. Excalibur is one of the 3 starting Warframes after the tutorial, and it is also the one which features in said tutorial. It is often a popular choice for new players, with the promise of a perfect mobility and offensive mix. It certainly delivers on this. In order to acquire Excalibur, should you have picked Mag or Loki as your starter frame, or whether you're just looking to reacquire him, you can buy him from the marketplace for 75 platinum, coming free with an Orokin reactor for supercharging, or you can construct him with a combination of the Excalibur blueprint, the Excalibur systems, Excalibur chassis, and Excalibur helmet, plus 1 Orokin cell. In order to get those 3 parts, you will need each of their blueprints, obtainable from Ambulus on Pluto, and a combined total of the following: 150 alloy plates, 1 neural sensor, 150 polymer bundles, 800 rubido, 1000 ferrite, 2 morphics, 220 plastids, 500 salvage, 1 control module, and 70,000 credits to cover the construction of all 3 parts and the Warframe itself. As with all Warframes, each part requires 12 hours to build and then 3 days to assemble the suit. Therefore, you will need a minimum of 84 hours to construct this Warframe, the same as everyone else. Also note that there is an iteration of Excalibur in Excalibur Prime. Excalibur Prime is a founder exclusive for those who bought the Hunter Pack and above. It can no longer be obtained. The blueprints for this Warframe do not exist. Based on maximum rank, Excalibur has 300 shield by default, which is quite an average amount, as well as 300 health. Another average of 150 power, but Excalibur does have quite a high 80 stamina, but he does have quite a below average armour of 65, making him not the most ideal Warframe for a Juggernaut style of play. His 4 powers are Slash Dash, granting invincibility for a few moments, dashing forwards to slice everything in a straight line directly ahead of you. It's semi-useful in some situations. Next is Radial Blind, acting as a flashbang to blind everyone around you and buy you some time to kill them or to escape. An occasional lifesaver. Super Jump allows for triple jump height, allowing access to some previously unreachable areas. A useful addition should you need to support your teammates from an unorthodox position. Finally, Radial Javelin, a high damage ability firing javelins in every direction to kill enemies when surrounded. It can target up to 15 people at once at 25 meters. A very useful game saver, especially during defense. Although Excalibur may be a starting frame and overshadowed by most others, as well as ditched at most users' first convenience, Excalibur, with the right time investment, can still become a powerhouse. In my build, we're going to turn Excalibur into one of the most potent and powerful Warframes in the game, out-damaging most others with the use of your teammates, your creativity, and your mobility. Firstly, we forego Slash Dash and Radial Blind, and instead we elect Super Jump as our first ability. With a combination of our other mods, this ability will become its own weapon, and a virtual extension of your arsenal once we've finished this build. Of course, Excalibur's ultimate ability is going to be our next extension, so instead we choose Radial Javelin as our second and last ability slot. Naturally, these 2 are perfectly suited for offense and support and set our stage to elevate this frame. As you have guessed, these are the only 2 abilities we're going to be running on this purely supportive and purely offensive build. Now, since Radial Javelin is very expensive, costing 100 power per use, we're going to alleviate this as best we can. Fleeting expertise here then would be a very good choice, bringing down your cost to 50 or even 60 if you choose to max this out. However, I do not recommend getting this mod to maximum unless you have a spare, a duplicate if you will, and instead opt for 40%. Because when combined with Streamline, you can achieve 70% efficiency. There is a cap, and any Warframe can't exceed 75% efficiency, so in order not to eat into your duration via the penalty in fleeting expertise on your other Warframes, Be careful levelling it. If you have a duplicate, don't be afraid to go to the maximum, since Super Jump and Radial Javelin have no duration effect. It's basically free efficiency. And as mentioned, we will combine this with Streamline for minimum cost possible. Now we are going to improve our power's repeating ability. For those situations where 15 targets is just not quite enough. So Flow makes a very nice addition, raising your maximum power by 150%. With your energy capacity resembling that of the Duracell bunny, you will be free to keep the javelins flying and the jumps bouncing. In choices 6 and 7, we again combine the benefits of two mods. Focus, first of all, is a no-nonsense increase to your WarFrame ability strength. Therefore, if Radial Javelin committed 1200 damage per javelin, raising it to 1560 for no detriment whatsoever, as well as boosting the leap of your super jump, this is an obvious choice. Should your copy of Fleeting Expertise be maxed purely for this build, then you'll get the full benefit of Blind Rage, with an absolutely unbelievable 99% additional power strength, doubling your damage and stacking on focus for 129% extra. You can jump 18 meters in the air for under 10 power consumption to reach all sorts of weird and wonderful places, as well as allowing your ultimate ability to fire an amazing 36 javelins, which deal upwards of 2400 damage each. You can demolish even the strongest crowds. You pay for this phenomenal damage with an extra 55% more power per usage. However, with Streamline and Fleeting Expertise counteracting with up to 90%, you can still use your ultimate for only 65 power. A worthwhile trade. Amazingly though, when combined with a fellow mag player, one simple bullet attractor and a well-timed javelin can deal almost nuclear damage to enemies, nearing 100,000 to be exact. Now Excalibur has that potential that nobody saw. Next, we add a small pointer towards our defense. After all, Radial Javelin has a slightly cumbersome cast time, and redirection can often buy you the time you need to destroy your enemies in an emergency situation without getting taken down. Plus, the all-around survivability is always welcome. Finally, we turn Super Jump into an offensive weapon with heavy impact. With 18 meters of fall damage to play with and gather power, when combined with some sneaky creativity and a good slam weapon, like the Obex, you can turn Excalibur into a human, or Tenno missile. Oddly enough, even wall climbs, wall runs, and wall clings can be used to gather together a giant pool of slam damage, so use it wisely, and be creative with your environment. And heavy impact will reward you greatly. And my 10th choice is a very simple stretch mod, purely because of the very nice distance it adds to your Radial Javelin. You'll be practically sniping with these things, and with 36 javelins to play with, making sure they don't go to waste is fairly important. So the longer your reach, the more enemies you can hit, the less javelins you waste. A very straightforward choice. So that's the build. Using Excalibur's average mobility to get into an advantageous position, the ability to get a height advantage swiftly, and mind-blowing effective ultimate ability, you can see off any foe in moments with the correct movement and the correct timing, which isn't too difficult to achieve given a little bit of practice. You will need at least 3 formers. One to change the aura polarity to whatever you wish. You may keep it as default, or you may repolarize it in order to better get more mod power for your build. I opted for Tactical to get Energy Siphon to enhance my Radial Javelin and Super Jump sustainability, especially when solo. However, you can tell I polarized Heavy Impact incorrectly. You may need more formers than this, however, when your Redirection and Blind Rage begin to surpass the power of the build. I would estimate 4 or 5 would suffice in the long run, but you don't need to spend that much to get an effective build. Despite being a starting frame and an outcast by many, Excalibur has the potential to change any game. The correct employment of this frame can swing a battle in your favour and can take out so many enemies before you can even count. Excalibur, despite appearances, has some amazing potential. Don't throw him out. He is a very good frame and a very good one to have in your arsenal. I am the Soviet Warlord, and this has been an episode of Stakhanov's Builds. Join me again next time, where I'll be covering the legs. Peace out.